In the bleak midwinter, frosty wind made moan. Earth stood hard as iron, water like a stone. Snow had fallen, snow on snow, snow on snow. In the bleak midwinter, long ago, Christ, a homeless stranger, so the Gospels say, cradled in a manger and a bed of hay. In the bleak midwinter, stable place sufficed, Mary and her baby, Jesus Christ. Once more child and mother weave their magic spell, touching hearts with wonder, words can never tell. In the bleak midwinter, in this world of pain, where our hearts are open, love is born again. Bring a torch, Jeanette, Isabella, bring a torch and quickly run. Christ is born, good folk of the village, Christ is born, and Mary's calling, beautiful is the mother, beautiful is her child. Come and see within the stable, come and see the Holy One, come and see the lovely Jesus, brown his brow, his cheeks are calling, hush, hush, quietly now, he slumbers, hush, hush, quietly now, he sleeps. Duermete, niño lindo, y los del amor, mientras que duerme y descansa las peñas de mi dolor. A la rue, a la May, a la rue, a la May, a la rue, a la May, a la rue, a la rue, a la May. No temas a rey Herodes, que nada the pangs of my sorrow are soothed and put to rest. À la roue, à la mer, à la roue, à la mer, à la roue, à la mer, à la roue, à la roue, à la mer. You need not fear King Herod, he will bring no harm to you. So rest in the arms of your mother, who sings you à la roue, à la roue, à la mer, à la roue, à la mer, à la roue, à la mer, à la roue, à la roue, à la mer. Twas in the moon of winter time, when all the birds had fled, that mighty Gigi-Manitou sent angel choirs instead. Before their light their stars grew dim, and wandering hunters heard the hymn, Jesu, ton hia, Jesus ton hia. Within a lodge of broken bark, the tender babe was found, a ragged robe of rabbit skin enwrapped his beauty round. But as the hunter braves drew light, the angel's song rang loud and high, Jesu, ton hia, Jesus, ton hia.
Welcome. Welcome to this Christmas Eve, a celebration of joy. Whether you are joining us in person or online, welcome. In this time of continued pandemic, we hope that this service brings light and hope to you and yours. This candlelight service is a first UU tradition, as is walking the labyrinth. It will be set up in the sanctuary and will be available to walk throughout the holiday week. As families of all sizes, including those who celebrate alone, we invite you to gather around and sing, Deck the Halls. If you are at home, sing at the top of your lungs. If you are in person, sing out loud in spirit, but with your voice, please quietly hum, sharing your love but not your breath.
Deck the halls with bells and holly, la 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 la.
It sounds like some of our online or cyber or whatever wavelength the mic was on, it joined us in with a fa-la-las. But thank you all. First Unitarian Universalist Church is a congregation that puts love at the center. We gather once again this season of dark and light to recall the Christmas story, a story about love born anew. In a world torn apart by so much, we need to be reminded of the better angels in others and in ourselves. I open with a prayer from Preemptive Love, a field guide to end war. We believe in a love that can change the way things are, a love for all who don't belong and all who long for more, for those who look different, love different, and pray different, for neighbors, enemies, and ourselves. We believe in going where no one else will go, to love the people we're afraid to love, to remake our world.
We light this chalice with hope that peace will come to the world and bring with it joy for all to share. For on this night, love is born anew. In the Christmas tradition, out of which Unitarian Universalism grew, Advent is the season preceding the birth of Jesus. During the 4 weeks of Advent, Christians around the world sit quietly in the midst of chaos, preparing a place in their hearts where the seeds of hope, love, joy, and peace can take root. As Unitarian Universalists, Advent asks, what are we waiting for and preparing for in our own lives and in the life of our world? This evening, we light the 4 candles of the Advent: hope, love, joy, and peace. The 5th candle is for light. May the light of these Advent candles inspire us to bring more hope, more love, more joy, more peace, and more light into the world.
Our reading for tonight is from the Bible, the book of Luke, chapter 2. In those days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that a census should be taken of the entire Roman world. This was the first census that took place while Quirinius was governor of Syria, and everyone went to their own town to register. So Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to Bethlehem, to the town of David, because he belonged to the house and line of David. He went there to register with Mary, who was pledged to be married to him and was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for the baby to be born,
and she gave birth to her firstborn, a son. She wrapped him in cloths and placed him in a manger because there was no guest room available for them. And there were shepherds living out in the fields nearby, keeping watch over their flocks at night. An angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord showed among them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news that will cause great joy for all people. Today in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign to you. You will find a baby wrapped in cloths and lying in a manger." Suddenly, a great company of heavenly hosts appeared with the angels singing.
When the angel had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let's go to Bethlehem and see this thing that has happened, which the Lord has told us about." So they hurried off and found Mary and Joseph and the baby, who was lying in the manger. Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea during the reign of Herod, king of the Jews. About that time, some wise men from eastern lands arrived in Jerusalem asking, "Where is the newborn King of the Jews? We saw his star as it rose, and we have come to worship him."
And continuing in Matthew chapter 2, King Herod was deeply disturbed when he heard this, as everyone was in Jerusalem. Then Herod called for a private meeting of the wise men, and he learned from them that the time when the star appeared. And then he told them, "Go to Bethlehem and search carefully for the child. And when you find him, come back and tell me so that I can go worship him too."
After this interview, the wise men went their way, and the star that they had seen in the east guided them to Bethlehem. It went ahead of them and stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were filled with joy. They entered the house and saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshiped him. Then they opened their treasure chests and gave him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
It came upon the midnight clear, that glorious song of old, from angels bending near the earth to touch their harps of gold. Peace on the earth to all goodwill, from heaven the news we bring. The world in solemn stillness lay to hear the angels sing. Still through the cloven skies they come, with peaceful wings unfurled, and still their heavenly music floats o'er all the weary world. Above its sad and lonely plains, they bend unhovering wing, and ever o'er its battle songs the blessed angels sing.
On Christmas each year, we too offer gifts in hopes that we might too be fed by hope, love, joy, peace, and light. In this season, we remind ourselves once more of all the blessings we have in life. From these blessings, we hope open our hearts, knowing that generosity begets generosity, not just in spirit, but also in compassion. Helping others in times of need makes this world a brighter, warmer place for everyone. At First Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbus, our church, we extend our love and care in many ways. One way we share and help others is through the Ministerial Discretionary Fund, MDF for short. This is a fund which our ministers use to help people who come to us in need during the year, especially those among us.
This fund, the MDF Fund, has helped individuals and families heat their homes through the cold winter months, put food on the table for single parents who have suddenly found themselves out of work, help get cars repaired so people can get to where they need to go, and much, much more. This is the only time of the year that we directly ask for contributions to the Minister's Discretionary Fund. Please join me in being as generous as you can.
Your generosity will help in months to come, giving life to the promise of Christmas throughout the year. If you are here in person, you may write a check or use the square device in the back of the sanctuary after service. In person and online, and anytime, you are welcome to go to our website and click on the Donate tab. You can also scan the QR code on the screen. Your offering to the Ministerial Discretionary Fund is most appreciated. Thank you for your generosity.
Another Christmas. Another Christmas altered. Another Christmas like no other. Yet we're all here. Here in the sanctuary and online. We're here together, and what a gift it is. Now, I've been thinking a lot about what we've learned and what I've learned over the last few years, and what it is really all about. We know all the headlines and we hear all the opinions. There's no shortage of either. But I wonder, what is deeper that touches us all? The Christmas story tells us that Jesus was born in a stable because there was no room in the inn. Mary and Joseph, alone, separated from family, waiting. I'm guessing they might have been a little more than angry at no more room in the inn and frightened. And they were probably just figuring out things as they went, kind of figuring out things on the fly, not unlike some of us are doing today as flights get canceled and families suddenly have to quarantine. But just like Mary and Joseph, we too have our feelings. While some are gathered with family, friends, and kin, many others have had to alter their travel plans to be together. The pandemic has caused all sorts of mayhem and sickness and worse. And fear of the unknown, has also put up those proverbial signs that might as well say there's no room at the inn. But despite the hard and dark times, there is hope. Light and the sun are on their way. The light pushes back the darkness. I wonder, how do we push back the darkness in our own lives? Unless you're Amanda or Michaela or a lucky grandparent, most of us don't have a baby on the way. How do you find light when it's so hard? And in this time of year, how do we even see each other? This week, there was an article in the Washington Post that really struck a chord with me. It was about how one person brought light to a neighbor. It seems that a mother and daughter were home alone when they received a text from the neighbor across the street. The mom and daughter were asked to peek outside. And when they did, they saw a bright string of Christmas lights reaching from one neighbor's house to the other, one neighbor's house to their own. And on the doorstep was a tin of homemade cookies. Kim, the mother, was suffering from anxiety and depression. She had lost a loved one and was dealing with work-related stress. Christmas did not come with joy or light. The neighbor, Matt, who had struggled with his own teenagers over the course of the pandemic, including financial angst and remote learning, had empathy for Kim and her daughter. It's been difficult for everyone. The lights, he told her, were meant to reinforce that they were always connected despite their pandemic isolation. Matt said, "I was reaching out to Kim to literally brighten her world." And brighten her world he did. As it turned out, the light kept on going from house to house, from heart to heart. According to the Post article, that while Matt thought a bit of brightness was in order, he certainly did not expect that this one strand of Christmas lights would somehow spark a neighborhood-wide movement. In the days that followed Matt's light-hanging gesture, neighbor after neighbor followed suit, stretching out lines of Christmas lights from one side of the street to the other. When one neighbor, who lives on the other end of the block, saw what Matt had done, she wanted in. "I said to my neighbor, 'Let's do it too.'" She recalled, "Before we knew it, we were cleaning out Home Depot of all the lights." Quickly, the other neighbors caught on. Little by little, the whole neighborhood started doing it. The lights were a physical sign of connection and love. She and Matt were stunned to see neighbors with drills and ladders up on their rooftops and tangled in trees, oh my, doing whatever they had to hang the lights horizontally. They were mostly masked and at a distance, but for the first time in a long time, a feeling of togetherness and light had returned. The neighborhood theme for the holidays was, "Love lives here." Now, I know that love lives here, too. We might not string lights from house to house, but we light up each other's lives with smiles and well wishes, and sometimes tins of cookies, homemade cookies, maybe even from the cookie fair. And the best part is, when we see each other in the darkness, we open our hearts and we see beyond ourselves. We reach out to the community and beyond. Even in the darkness, I wonder, how do you see others? What are the ways that you spread light and joy? Now, a little bit ago this afternoon, I actually paid a Christmas visit to one of our congregants, Jeannie Ray, who is an awesome, awesome woman. And she gave me a little gift along with gifts for Maddie and Fiona. But Jeannie Ray, ever so clever, she didn't know I was going to actually talk about spreading light and joy through a string of Christmas lights, but she gave me a bottle with lights inside. So I give you the light from Jeannie Ray from this as a gift from Jeannie Ray, from myself to all of you. Isn't that special how things just work? In closing, I'd like to offer some words by our UU colleague, Reverend Jason Cook. We don't know what the coming year will bring or what Christmas will look like exactly. But we do know that our best bet is to keep looking forward to the stars, the stars we find along the way, those beacons of hope and possibility that remind us that the struggles of the moment are never the whole picture. Those struggles are a part of a larger narrative that we are a part of, too. That narrative that exists within a universe that is vast and glorious and terrifying and astounding all at once. A universe that can hold space for the birth of a baby and for the birth of hope. And so I say to you a little quietly, a little tentatively, Merry Christmas. For this is not the year for unbridled, unconsidered enthusiasm. And I say to you, a little wistfully and a little regretfully, Merry Christmas. For this is not the year for living purely and completely in this moment. And I say to you, a little reverently and a little practically, Merry Christmas. For this is not the year to cast aside the sacred stories of old or the scientific miracles of today. And when it is all said and done, I think perhaps this Merry Christmas is not really that different from the ones of yore. For there is no Christmas without the profound travails of the human condition, and there is no Christmas without the gut-punch awakening of hope that comes from new life brought into this world. And so at last, knowing the star of hope is already here to guide our way, even through the most challenging of times, I raise my voice in joy to say to you, this time without qualification or reservation, Merry Christmas.